So to model the lease payment on existing lease liability, it's going to be based on an if statement. So we say if the opening balance, let's reference the cell with F for once. If we deplete that opening balance by the weighted average remaining lease term for the existing leases of 11.3 years, reference the cell with F for once. With that opening balance plus the portion of interest, if that is less than the opening balance, it means that there is still repayments that needs to be made for the remaining period. Then what we want is to give us the negative of the opening balance plus the interest. That is the negative of the opening balance after depleting the weighted average remaining lease term for the existing leases. Opening balance and then we take into account the portion of interest. So essentially we are adding back after depleting the opening balance by that weighted average remaining lease term. We're adding that to the interest, even though we are using a minus sign because we just want the negative numbers here in the repayment section to appear as negative. Otherwise, give us the opening balance plus the interest, the portion of interest. We can close that and then we press enter. As you can see, the ending balance is going to be the sum of the opening plus the interest, and then we deduct the lease payment on existing lease liability. So the opening balance for the next period is going to be the closing of the prior period. So it's a cost code calculation. For this, we can just reference, make sure we're always referencing to the incremental borrowing rate. So we can fill this formula right, and we can take all of these and fill it to the end of the projected period. So if we go back to the control panel tab and we switch this to, say, the weighted average remaining lease term to, say, 7.3 years, and then we go back to the financial statements. As you can see, it is reflecting here in the financial statements where we have the repayments that will be made for 7 years and the remaining fraction will be paid for the following year. So as you can see, the formula is well done. It's kicking in here. So we have done it right. So we can go back and undo this back to 11.3 years. And if we go back, we can see that it is doing just exactly as we'd expect. So that is how we model lease payments on existing lease liabilities and also finance leases. So it's just the same formula that we did for the finance leases. So right now, what we want to do next is to model the new lease liabilities for the opening leases. So in this case, the opening balance 0 as usual. The additions will be made based on, so it's going to be equal to revenue. So we'll make sure that we grab the total net sales for that time period. We grab the total net sales. We multiply that by the annual additions, which we calculated a while ago as a percentage of revenue. Reference that cell with F for once. So we have the additions that we place. So these are the additions to the capital expenditures for the new leases that was made. And then for the interest, as we know, it's going to be based on the opening balance. So we take the opening balance here and we multiply that by the incremental borrowing rate, the interest rate of 2.5%. So we have that in place. So going forward, to model the principal repayment on new lease liabilities, just as we did for the finance leases, it's just going to be equal to, we take the negative of the additions, which we have to reference with F4 2 times because we want to copy that formula down, and then we divide that by, in the control panel tab, the lease term for new leases of 15 years, reference that cell with F4 ones. So we can copy this. Since it's a waterfall, we can copy this and keep going down. Use F4 to repeat the last action. So we have that in place now. So for the additions, we can fill this formula right with Control R. Also for the interest, we can fill that right. So modeling going forward from the year 2022 is going to be a different formula. So we're going to say that it's going to be equal to if